According to recent census data, there are about 33 million multiracial Americans as of 2020, and those numbers are only continuing to grow. But what it looks like to be multiracial looks different for each person. In her new book, The Girl in the Yellow Poncho, journalist Kristal Brent Zook chronicles what it's like to grow up as half black and half white in America. And Kristal joins me now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this book, it's a memoir about growing up biracial and the journey for your missing white father. But there are many layers to this story.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I thought it was going to be a journey looking for my father off and on over the years, who is actually on Vashon Island.
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah. But it ended up being a story that took me into the layers of my mother and my grandmother's past and our family of women, black women who, you know, worked hard and struggled and kind of coming to terms with some of our own past as well. It's a story for anyone who has that little girl who's still like hurting, or a little boy who still has something that needs healing.
Yeah, that is important. I think we all do.
I think so.
I do. I think it's important. You've written for outlets like the Washington Post and New York Times over the last 30 years. How has your work as a journalist been informed by your identity as a biracial black woman?
Yeah, I've always written about race and women specifically because that's how I grew up, and I felt that it was sort of my duty to be like a race woman, like Ida B. Wells journalism, you know, and the social justice issues, and really looking at some of the greatest challenges we have. But then on the outside, of course, I don't really look black to a lot of people. So it's been a little bit of a contradiction because I've written for Essence magazine for many, you know, off and on for many years. I've written, you know, stories about black women and communities, and yet I'm in this odd kind of in-between place.
Yeah. I bet, though, everything you've done in your journalism career really helped lend itself to writing this book and really getting into the details.
Yes, it was unexpected. I thought I was going to do a book about, journalistic book about the explosion of multiracial youth in this country. And then somehow it just took twists and turns, and it became more about my own journey and my own family. And that kind of surprised me. It's my fourth book, but it's my first book that's so deeply personal. Yeah, this is my life.
It's your life, but it's kind of the story of a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I think that one of the most powerful things about this book is the surprise at the end of your story, and I'm not going to give it away. Don't get excited, but without doing that, what did that end teach you about healing and forgiveness, healing that little girl? Yeah,
you know, I feel like healing, once you start the journey, it has like a domino effect.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. It has a ripple effect where I thought I was going to heal the relationship with my father, which in turn led to my father and mother healing their relationship, which in turn led to a healing between my mother and I that I didn't even expect, that I didn't know was even, there. And
Is that your dad with your child? And
that's my dad meeting my daughter for the first time at the airport in California. And, the journey has been not just for me and for my parents, but also for her, for my little girl who's almost 7 now.
Oh my gosh. Just seeing that picture brings me to tears because you can tell the pain and the passion and the love. Is forgiveness, is healing, it seems to be penultimate for forgiveness, right?
Well, healing, I found, people think you do it and then you're done.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a process, and it has layers. And, I looked for my father for years and found him, and then we unfound each other. Sort of, it went in cycles until now. And I think this last time, that time was the time when it finally worked. And I'm actually picking him up today from the ferry he's going to be my running buddy today. So I think it's a long process, and I think it comes in waves that are unexpected, and it touches different people in different ways, right?
You mentioned that you were inspired to write this book by your daughter. Why was that?
Well, initially looking at the journalistic part of it, right? My daughter is part of this wave of multiracial youth that is just, it's increasing exponentially in this country. And here in Tacoma, actually, I came and reported about a community, Steilacoom, where the youth in the school district are as much as 30% multiracial by one study. I mean, that's huge, right? And so this particular area is really unique for that high rate outside of Hawaii and Alaska. And so she's part of that generation that's just, you know, I wanted to know how is her identity going to be different from mine growing up so early on when there weren't that many interracial couples, there were no interracial ads on TV, there's nothing.
It's true.
Nothing.
And I love that as a mom. I applaud you as a mom for asking that question, saying, I want to answer this question for my daughter, so I'm going to write a book about it.
That's kind of how it started in part, yeah.
I think it's amazing. I have so many more questions to ask you. We're out of time, but what do you hope people take away from the book, walking away?
Again, I just feel like the healing part of it can touch us in so many ways. We all have those places, like you say, that are hurting, and places where maybe we need some forgiveness. And I hope that that moves people's hearts and souls to reach out to whoever they need to do that.
To get that healing.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And just a reminder, Kristal is holding an author event tomorrow night, Thursday, October 19th at 7 p.m. at the Elliott Bay Book Company on Seattle's Capitol Hill. Go check it out.